Good morning, my little burgers. All right, here we go. We got Sherry just chilling out up at the park again. All right, beautiful morning as always. But just to say one thing, we haven't been on for a couple of days just because a few things have happened. My eldest boy, unfortunately, had an incident. He has broken both his wrists. Very lucky because the fall was huge that he had. Got a bone in the elbows, chipped in the ulnar, but generally speaking, he's all right. But at the time, it was one of the moments, gut wrenching, where your stomach comes up, your heart comes to your mouth, and all that up to your throat. It was like one of the moments you're going, please God, no. Yeah. Now, we went to Perry Woods, Faversham, Canterbury Way. And we went there because there was lots to do for kids, like rope swings, seat swings, and things like this. And it was on one of those that, unfortunately, Beau, being so long, I think that was the only reason it happened, was he swung out, went out, and then his legs just swung, and the final motion of his legs pulled him off, which he ended up falling about 10 metres. And he fell, put his arms out, trying to make sure he didn't land on his face and neck. And he ended up breaking both his wrists. One of them was like S shape, one was compounded. So we had quite a moment then. This is what happens when you do a true act of kindness for someone. We was only going out there, it wasn't for us, we was going there for, Lizzie was trying to be kind because of a friend of ours is struggling, mentally, emotionally, whatever, feel stressed. So she thought, I'll do a good deed because he will hound and say, when am I seeing you, when am I seeing you, when am I seeing you? So she thought, well, we'll do a good deed, we'll take him out with us. So we took him, his daughter, his dog out with us, same as our dog Sierra, in the van and that. So we was only out there for them, right, really. And however, like, this incident occurred. But when Beau fell, the 10 metres, obviously I can't move very well on my left hand side. Lizzie went down after him, I was following, but unfortunately there was some loose, and it's probably the best thing that was there actually, because there was loose acorns and leaves and things like that from the fallen tree, and I think that took a lot of the impact out for Beau. But as we were coming down, I was sliding, Lizzie was sliding, and it was quite a steep bank all the way down. She got to him, she could see what was happening. Luckily enough, like I said to everyone, I can see forward, so I could see in the distance, I could just see the bend in the arm, and I thought, oh no, this is not good. But he was moving, he swore, which I said to him, it's okay mate, you can swear, you think got every right to swear today. And he was coping with it. He was so good, he didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't do anything. He was a tough little nut. Literally so impressed with how he handled that. Why, it's amazing how tough he was. And he dealt with it really well, really truly like a real man, like, and a real strong character, should we say. Not a man, just strong character. Women are strong as well, same as men. We're all strong. Lizzie's strong, like, strong of mind. And it happened, and we got down to him. I was in a little bit of panic mode. You see, I'm feeling a bit choked up, to be honest with you, because I can still see him when he was falling in midair, and I was just panicked. But I got down there, and I don't normally make a sound, but when I went, oh shit, Lizzie just bolted because she knew something wrong was gone on, because I don't panic. So she knew something bad had happened. And we got to him, and we just had to try and wrap him up as best we could. We had nothing. All we had was a jumper that we tried to support his arms with. It wasn't great, but it's all we had. It's all we could do. But we had to try and get him up out of this like ravine little bank, and I mean it was a steep bank. It was like that, right? But managed to get him up there. Eli and the other was there. He was panicked as well because he's just seen his brother do this. Dog was panicked. She was stressed. And then we were trying to get out. Eli was being a good boy. He was trying to take care of the dog, being a real man as well, standing up at the right time of crisis and actually doing the right things. Without Eli, we would have had the dog to contend with as well. But everyone knows I'm right side strong. I'm left side weak now because of the stroke. And trying to get up that hill was hard going. I was struggling. My heart, I was palpitations. It literally, I was running on empty, but I just knew I had to continue. Yeah, Lizzie's worried about me, but I'm more worried about Beau trying to get through, trying to get him back, because we was a long way into the woods, so we had to walk all the way back. We got back to the van and got everyone in. Obviously, we took a friend and his daughter with us, and his dog and our dog in the van. Got Beau in, got it all settled. Eli was really good. He was taking care of the dog. And then we went to Ashford because where we were probably closer to Ashford than we was Canterbury. So we went straight to Ashford. And then we got there. At first, we was closer to the UTC centre, so we just went in there. But they got us prioritised and trauma called through to the emergency department for kids, the kids emergency department, where obviously it's over there. A 2 metre fall most people at UTC can deal with, but this was like 10 metres, so it was a fair dump. So they trauma called him through quicker. I'll give all the doctors their dues, nurses. They got to him, they dealt with him quickly. They were concerned by how tall the fall was, and we told them exactly what it was, and that's when they managed to get him through to X-ray, and we'd done all the hospital bit, and we was in there. We just had to dump the van in the drop-off point because we were literally at a point where we couldn't do anything else, and when we got in there, got through to A&E, we was in there for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, we believe, because we were being timed by our friend, who was like, oh, we've been here ages, should we go get the bus? Because he's saying this in front of Eli, talking to his daughter, going, should we go get the bus and go home? Yeah. And there's my son just out there listening to this, right? And I'm lucky that my son is quite switched on, Eli, because he let it go. He was like, he didn't let it bother him because he can take things in his stride. He doesn't panic like me. But I thought it was a little bit out of order to do it in front of my son. Yeah. Just didn't really show true character of the man then. Yeah. I would have been there if it had been his daughter. Would have been anyone else's kids. I would have stayed there till the day is ended. I would not have left. I'm not that type of person. Yeah. I've got true integrity. Yeah. If I say I care for your kids, I care for your kids. Yeah. And I did, and I would have done if it had been his or anyone else's, any of my other friends, any of my family's kids. I'll be the person you want next to you, all right? But Eli's having to deal with this from a fully grown man who's older than me, all right? And he was dealing with it, so give all credit to Eli being 9, but having to deal with that. He's gone through some shit himself with me, and he had to deal with that. But he was a good lad. My dog ended up suffering. She was in the baking heat in the front seat. She'd been forced into there. She was just in the heat, panting her ass off. She's literally, everyone knows what, she's full of coat. So she was roasting because she was in the direct sunlight. Yeah. where normally she sits in the back because there's loads of room for her to stretch out. That's why she's there. Yeah, we as adults can sit around her, but no. But that all kicked off. That was there. Right. When we finally managed to get Beau into the emergency department, that then gave Lizzie a chance to get out. So she got out, she went back to the van, and she went and dropped him off home. Yeah. And in the meantime, Beau had been taken to the x-ray, he'd done all these other bits and pieces. Yeah, and that's when we found out exactly what had gone on. And then she dropped them off, and that was it. We didn't have to deal with my friend and his daughter anymore, and the dog. Right, so she jacked them off, dropped Eli off at mum's because he needed support, dropped the dog off there, so the dog had help and support, get fed, was taken care of. Yeah, Eli looked after her. Really good boy, good son. And then Lizzie come back, and that's when we went through everything. And Beau is a true champion. So strong, so strong-willed, strong-minded. He's really good, and he dealt with this in his stride. Yeah, but there was a few funny moments because all the doctors were like, "How old's he?" So he's 14. They went, 14. You're hanging off the bed. You're huge. And one of the doctors, the consultant, Jonathan, lovely consultant, absolute fantastic consultant. Lizzie's had dealings with him in a professional setting as well through where she works. What a man. He was so good for Beau. He was, when he was doing the ketamine with him, because Beau had to be put under because they had to manipulate his bones back into place. And the one side that was really S-shaped was a proper like sound when it went back in. Both me and Lizzie both cringed, right? But we knew it was coming. So we dealt with that. We was there. Jonathan was really good. He was taking care of Beau, trying to keep him calm. Beau didn't know what the hell was going on. He was so spaced out, but he was right under at that time when they kept him. But then he's come out and he didn't know where he was. He couldn't see things clearly. He thought he was still under, because people have some adverse effects with ketamine, but he come out of it all right because he's such a big lad. But Jonathan, when he went in at the start, he went, because we was in the kids department, he went, "Nurse, can you get me the adult stuff? I need the adult stuff," because he's larger than most adults. So they had to go get some adult gear for him just so he could do his bits, which is quite amusing, because Beau's feet were literally hanging off the bed. It was funny. In the darkness at that time, there was some light, but we had a lovely little training nurse, Molly. She was sweet. She was doing her best. This other nurse, don't know her name, sorry. But Jonathan, really sweet. Like, they were really helping out the anaesthetist, and that was there. They was all really pleasant, and they were doing their best for him. So I'll give Ashford their dues this time. They screwed me over, but they looked after my son, so that's all that matters. Yeah. So, but the difference is, it was a trauma call. They dealt with it straight away, because we bypassed the ambulance service, we bypassed all the other crap, 111, we bypassed all them, we went straight to Ashford. And because we was there, and because we got there first, quickly, Laura, Sarah's just seen a squirrel, she's after it, right? But because we went straight there, they actually dealt with it quickly. Unlike me, obviously we know I was on a trauma call, 18-minute call, and it took 2.5 hours for me to get from one place to another, which is what screwed me over. But that's in the past, it's done. All I can say is now how they treated my son was all that mattered, and they dealt with it really well, and that consultant was fabulous. So it all comes down to having the right people. You get the right people in any position, that's when it makes a difference to anyone. Get the wrong people, it completely changes everything. You can have a bad response because someone chooses not to help, and that's what happened with the ambulance service. Yeah, they prioritised other stuff, even though like I had that, but by the by for me. But Beau had great treatment, so I'll give Ashford their dues on this one. Well done to the consultants, well done to the doctors and that. and the nurses, and especially nurses, because they're the ones who do the day-to-day ins and out stuff. Yeah. But you get good and bad everywhere, but they've done so well. Not yesterday, day before, whatever. But Beau ended up getting his arms plastered, both of them, which is typical. He's ended up in plaster up to his elbows, down to his knuckles, if you know what I mean. And like we said, it's like, well done, mate. First day of the holiday, and like now you're going to be in cast all the way through. But he's got his fingers too, so he can use his phone, he can use his remote, so he's all right with that. But then we got our holiday coming next Friday, so it's like, oh damn it! So now we can't go swimming on the boat like when we go on the cruise and that. So he's going to suffer with that. But something I'll take out of all of this is there is some goodness in people and there's some darkness in people. And we saw some goodness in complete strangers that was fabulous. Me and Lizzie have been talking about it. We're seeing a lot more kindness and love from strangers now than we ever did before. We met a few people on our way out the forest, and they were absolutely brilliant. They were lovely. They were so concerned. They were so lovely. They were so sweet. Yeah, they show true kindness, what we should do. Show love to each other, each fellow man. But then you see darkness in other ways from people you didn't expect, where a bit of selfishness come into play when it didn't need to. Like I said, I'm someone I would never leave you stranded. I'm one of those, if I was in a firefight, I'm the person who's backing you up, and I'm the last person to leave. I would not leave any man there on their own. I don't leave a man down. I'll make sure they get home safe. But that's my character, yeah. But I can't say that's everyone's character, yeah. But kindness and love doesn't cost anything, yeah. They're easy words to say, but to do it, some people just can't do it, yeah. But I love all kids. I'd never see any harm done to any kid. I would never do that. Right? If I saw any child hurt themselves, I would pick them up. I'm that type of person. Yeah, they fall down, I pick them up, help them. Yeah, that's what you should do with kids and innocent people. Yeah, but putting my youngest in a position that he had to be the adult in that situation was not fantastic. I didn't like that. But by the by, that's just me getting that off my chest because I'm angry about it. I'm really angry about it, actually. Yeah, Lizzie said, don't say anything. So, no, I want to say something because I am that angry. If I was me of old, it would have been a completely different story. I would have lost my rag by now. But I've been kind. I'm trying to change. I'm being a decent person. I'm trying to let it go. Someone made an error call at that time. Yeah, hopefully he learns from it and becomes a better person. Yeah, has a bit more kindness in the heart. Yeah. Bit like those doctors and nurses say, kindness in their heart. They wanted to help Beau because he was such a sweet kid. Yeah, we treated them nicely. They treated us nicely. But that was our interest in couple of days, and that's why we haven't been on. So sorry guys, I'll probably be on and off, but hit and miss for a little while. And coming up for next week, I probably won't be on for a week because I haven't got the Wi-Fi package on the cruise. So you'll probably see a load of stuff, bits and pieces when we come back. All right, because Eli wants to do some video recording on the boat, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, and see how they cope with disabilities, etc., and people with certain needs, and we'll go from there. But obviously it's not necessarily the crew that'll be the problem, it'll probably be the people. That generally is. So we've been on a few holidays where people become the problem, but that's in life. But I think there's more kindness happening in the world. Like I say to everyone, yeah, be kind, show love, yeah, be grateful, be friendly, be open, be fast, guys. My little burgers, love you all. Right, hopefully you're having a lovely holiday. You're going to have a good holiday to come. Enjoy the sun, get out as much as you can, share the love with people, be kind to people in the street, ask them how they're doing, say how are you, actually ask them how are they doing, see what impression it makes, see how much of a difference it could make to them. Yeah, but my little burgers, one little last look around. Yeah, the little and there's Sierra. What? Hello, Sierra.